Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Mommy Guide Inc. Yes, for those who are new to the channel, I am Mommy Lala, and you are watching Craft Every Day in August. Yes, it's already August 10 here in the Philippines, but I'm still doing CEDA day number 8. Yes, I'm doing a catch up. So today, our topic is one of the most what do you call this price in terms of price range, the cheapest way to achieve awesome backgrounds and some of the one of the most versatile techniques that you can actually use for paper crafting, and that is the use of stencils. All right, so let me just open the chat. I forgot to open it. Yes, okay. Having with us here early is Susan, and you hear in the background all my stuff is falling down. Yes, you are not late. I am late because I actually had to change my schedule from my usual 9 a.m. for you guys if you're on the eastern side of the US, or 8 a.m. Central to an hour later because today is Sunday for me and I do have my weekly Bible study. So I had to attend to that first. And since I had a class prior to that, so everything got moved a little bit to an hour later. So, again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. So, this is actually a continuing series on the basics. So, I decided that for the month of August and for this CEDA, where I do craft every day, I want to focus on the basics so that when anyone asks for how do you do this, how do you do that, right, so I can always refer back to this craft every day in August. And yes, every now and then, so hopefully later on, some of our dear friends who are actually no longer beginners are also here in the chat just to support and oftentimes also give additional advice that I might not be able to mention. Again, thank you so much, dear Susan. Okay, for coming in. Oh, look at that. That's such a big one. All right. So there you go. Okay. Early and first in the chat today. All right. Yes, you are not late, my dear friend. And of course, joining me is my moderator daughter, who somehow is still awake and saying hi to Susan as well. And so without further ado, let's dive in. Okay. So what are the basic tools that you will need? Okay. So of course, you need to have some inks, paints. Okay, what kind of inks? Okay, so I'll show you later. Basically, what you use for stamping, you can also use for stenciling or for stencils. You can also use paints, sprays, or even texture paste, right? So, in terms of versatility, I find that stencils are actually even more, flexible than our stamps. And by the way, stamps is going to be our focus for tomorrow. It's going to be part one of two or three because there's just so many things to talk about stamps. But I'm still thinking if I will just focus on the very basics. If that would be the case, then it's just one episode. So let's see. Okay, join me tomorrow so you'll know eventually which one I decided to do. All right, so of course, you also need a low tack tape or a stencil adhesive like a spray on one that I actually showcased you during our talk about adhesive like this Pixie spray. And then, of course, you need to, where would you put your stencils? So your cardstock or mixed media paper. Yes, there are crafters who actually even use their stencils to decorate their homes, their furnishings, right? And other stuff like their bags. There's unlimited ways or possibilities to actually use them. But for the purpose of this show, we will focus on paper crafting. Okay, so that's why our options for the medium or the media is going to be cardstock or mixed media paper. And optional, okay, so you need pail, okay, palette knives, okay, and brayer or spray bottles. Okay, speaking of which, where did I put my spray? Okay, liquids. Okay, we'll probably have to get to that again. This is, I think, the most unprepared, okay, live stream I will have to do for this season, right? Again, thank you so much again. And we have Jana in the chat. Hi, Jana. Okay, one of the busiest crafters around town. She is in so many awesome design team hops. So if you've not checked out my dear friend Jana, okay, Shanna as well. Okay, so they rhyme, but both are very much, very talented. And I look up to, right? So yes, hi say Sammy saying hi to both Jana and Susan. Okay, so what are the so these are the basic tools that you need, of course. Okay, why is it not there? Yours actual stencils, right? All right, of course, things that you can use to blend the ink. Okay, so here are the stenciling application techniques. Okay, so first and foremost, you can do ink blending with your stencils. So you can just use your dye. Yes, pigment. I am remembering pigment ink today. Okay, with sponge daubers. Okay, or blending brushes. So which one you feel is more comfortable with, or would work best with the kind of look, okay, that you actually want. Okay, so we will go into that big time later on. Okay, and also another is paint application. You can actually use as well acrylic paints for that. And you can use also stencil brushes or foams. And even do dry embossing, right? So instead of using your colored or tinted inks, you can use your clear embossing inks like your Versamarks, and then add a little bit of embossing powder, and you can still have that amazing embossed look using your stencils. Okay, and then you can even do like dry embossing with them, right? So run it through your die cutting machine, okay, and then use as one of the mats for embossing, okay, to sandwich it. So this one needs a little bit of a pressure for that to occur. Okay, so this one is for your mixed media techniques. You can use texture paste or gels. And of course, you can also use your spray techniques if you have those, your color mists or summer sprays to create fun backgrounds. Okay. So tips and tricks for great results. Okay. First tip, stencil down to avoid shifting. All right. So maybe we will pause here because this is best, done with actually looking at it. Okay. So let's go back to the chat a little bit. Okay. Wims is here. Okay. I think, okay, I actually used this for with Jay yesterday. So this one, it got a little bit. Okay. So I think I want to go back to just a circle. All right. So for this scene, all right. So Wims is here. Good morning. Good evening, Wims. Yes. Am I super late? No, I actually started late because I have Bible study. All right. So thank you, Wims, for coming in. I know you're probably getting ready for bed. Maybe, hopefully, Mira is already asleep. All right. So I'm gonna show you again the things that I mentioned earlier on. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Wims. Thank you for calling me. You know why how I know? Okay, because moderator daughter might be busy. So thank you, Wims, for telling me. Okay, so I guess I have to start from scratch. I don't know where I started to become muted. Okay, so Wims is still calling. All right. So Wims, thank you. I found it. I think I now have audio. Okay, since when did I get muted? My friends, can you kindly tell me? Right. Okay, I'll wait for your reply to see if I could hear you po. Okay. Who? Maybe Sam, you can hear me because you're in just the other room. Right. So thank you so much. I really should look at the chat more often. Thanks, Wims. I would never have known that I was on mute. And I'm so grateful to Wims. She actually called me, right? And I said, I know why. And then I looked, oh, I am on mute. Okay, thank you so much, Wims. Love you, my friend. All right, so again, going back, this is a layering stencil. So a layering stencil, okay, so different manufacturers, different ways of doing it. Okay, so here you can see that they would tell you that this is A. Okay, so this is B. All right, and then there is C. Okay, so which means that, so on the upper right side, you will see like a letter. So you'll start with that. Okay, and normally you start with the lightest color, darker, and then the darkest. Okay, so that's how you use this layering stencils. Yes, I will actually demo later on. I'm just showcasing you the different things that you can use. So in effect, this is what you're gonna get eventually. So the look of this one resembles that of the tiles in the probably 70s, 80s, right? So most houses had something like this. Okay. Oh, when I switched to overhead, let me check all the scenes. Yes. Okay, let me see. I actually guested earlier and had a 5-hour recording with this awesome creator. I cannot tell you just yet for what it is, but definitely. Okay, so you will see it pretty soon. Okay, so it's been a very productive but very busy day from morning up to now. I just took a nap a little bit before my Bible study. Okay, so again, thank you so much for being so gracious and ever forgiving for all my tech issues. All right, so Mira is still active. She doesn't want to sleep yet. Oh no, it's that time of the age where guys, with Sammy. I have two kids. So Sammy, in the moderator out there, and Jose Luis, or we often call him B-Boy. So both are opposite poles. With B-Boy, I was like wondering if I actually had a baby in the house. He rarely cries. He's just so quiet. But with Sammy, I only was able to take like a full 8 hours of sleep after 2.5 years. I kid you not. She was such a colicky baby. And I said, if this is gonna be how it's gonna be, I don't want to get pregnant again. That was super hard. But I love every moment of it. Although there were really moments where, I had to, like, she will wake up in the morning, early morning, and she would cry for milk. And I was so sleepy. I thought I was like, opening the bottle, putting in the milk, mixing it like that. You know what? When I woke up in the morning, all the milk was all over the pillows and stuff. I actually wasn't able to put any in the bottle. I was so sleepy that actually what I gave Sam was just water. Right, so there were moments like that. It was fun and at the same time very, very tiring. So I do understand, Wims, but yeah, you need to treasure all of these moments, Wims, because they pass by so fast. Yes, and of course you have, oh wow, the crafty in me. This is Judy. Oh, she's been with us for a very long time, but she's, once the world opened, she's been very busy as well. She is also a very talented crafter. You could check out her channel as well. She does a lot of DIY stuff and other things. She's also part of local design teams here in the Philippines. So thanks, Judy, for dropping by. Yes, good evening. That's rough, Wims. We're moving my baby into college in just 4 days. Right, Susan? Oh, that is that gonna be your youngest? So you're gonna be an kind of an empty nester soon? Oh my, that is, I can feel separation anxiety creeping in, Susan. She's so playful. She wants to play, especially when she knows we don't have work. Yes, babies are very receptive in that one. Yes, hi Judy. Yes, the crafty in me is Judy. Yes, Judy. I know if you've been following us for quite a while, you've seen her in the past. She's actually also guested here several times. Okay, in the show. Another kind. So I am just showing you different kinds of stencils, right? So depends on what it looks like. You can also create various designs like this one. So you can put it this way, and then if you want, you can twist it, another 90 degrees, and you can, layer it as well. So there's a lot of amazing things you can actually do with your stencils, right? So the Altenew stencil is quite bigger than most. Okay, I will showcase, but there are actually different sizes. Okay, so this one is also another awesome stencil where you can actually, create various variations of this as well. So again, the possibilities are as limitless. This one also, it's very retro looking. Same with this, same with this. So this is another layering stencil where you can actually create, something like a flower. Instead of layering stamps, you can use layering stencils. As I said, if budget is an issue, this is a cheaper way to actually achieve that coloring or that layering look, okay, without breaking the bank, so to speak. Okay, so let's put all the layering ones separate from the others, right? So one of, oh yes, this is another one, another layering stencil from Altenew. Okay, so again, as I mentioned, Altenew is my favorite when it comes to anything layering dies, layering stamps, layering stencils. I know that there are a lot of products right now who does the same thing, but they were the very first, okay, that I actually knew of. Okay, this is another one. Okay, this is magnolia and blooms, and you can achieve this kind, right? So, but it actually comes with, because this is a craft your life project, so there's actually a stamp, a die set, and a stencil for this one. So we actually took this class from, of course, Nenat Samson Madero, the very first Filipino and regional Asian Altenew, what do you call this? Hold on. Altenew educator. There you go. And she actually brought Altenew to our community. So forever grateful to Nenet for introducing us to this, wonderful company that creates a lot of wonderful stuff. Now, on top of those, okay, I just want to show you some stuff. Hold on. Okay. So, okay. So if you are an absolute, beginner, again, those are just sample of stencils. Okay, those are from Altenew, but there are so many. Okay, so if you have been a scrapbooker, you remember the Crafters Workshop, right? So those that you actually used to, use for scrapbooking, you can also use for your card making. So Eco Park does its own as well, and so many others. And you can even have metal ones. Okay, so where's that? I saw one. Okay, so that one. You also can have like a metal stencils. Okay, and of course there are longer ones. Okay, this one again, you can create a tree. Okay, this one you can use like for creating your swatches. And this one is actually created by Creative Handcraft. Okay, this is a local Filipina crafter. She creates her own stencils. It's actually bigger than the Alten you look. Okay, so creative handcraft. So she has her own. Okay, you can actually check her out as well. So again, the opportunity. These ones are already embossing, dry embossing folders. All right. So where can you buy those? They're available almost everywhere, online, craft stores. Okay, so most craft companies have their own lines actually at this point. Okay, another thing that will benefit you and that you need, okay, if you want to work with stencils, is if you have a craft mat, okay, like this one is a craft mat. Hold on, everything fell on the floor to the floor. Okay, and of course, if you have something like this one, yes, it does look like the silicone mat you use for baking because it's actually the same, right? But this one comes with this one, the glass mat from Team Holtz. It's supposed to be on that side, okay, but it's removable, so you can have that. And of course, if you have different palette knives, I even have samples here like plastic and metal one, because actually all of my other palette knives not here. Okay, it's actually in the center, so I forgot to bring it. All right, so depending on what kind of technique you're gonna be using, so you can also use different kinds of inks. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, okay, in our PowerPoint presentation, you could actually do like ink blending, use dye or pigment inks, okay, to layer in the colors. Okay, so normally I use Versamark. Okay, it's the same one we used for heat embossing, which we did the other or the past episode. Okay, you can also use your special inks like your distress lines. Okay, absolutely. You can use this, of course, and then you can also use the dye inks that you have. Like, for example, Alten U, where they even have coordinating inks already. Okay, so for, let's say, blue. So this one, you start out with the lightest, go to the second one, and then eventually the last one will be the darkest. So that is if you want to do the inking style, right? So to apply this, you can use, sponge daubers like this, okay, or brushes. Okay, so it's up to you, whatever you feel you would want. So by this time, I've already introduced you to other things that you can actually use for this. Okay, so another is, you know what this is? This is actually just a paper bag for a local store here, but I actually use it as well as a splatter, okay, box, so to speak, right? The nice thing about this is, it folds like that, and I can just easily store it to the side of my table, but easily also folds out as well. So if you have any, bags or paper bags from any store that somehow is square, right, and it's tall enough, so that's what I actually use as a splatter box. Okay, instead of an actual corrugated box. I actually have that, but for some reason my nanny cannot find it. So I said, okay, this will do for now. So if you're gonna do heavy inking though, it might get really, really wet. But it dries up as well. So have something like this to protect the sides or your materials or your gadgets from having, ink. And I normally use this when I use, when I do some spritzing or spraying. These are examples of products that you can use. You say this is Stuttered Angels, very famous. Yes, I'm dating myself during my scrapbooking days. All right, so right now you have also the distress line sprays, right? So your oxides, your inks, and also Little Birdie they have their own as well. Okay, so on top of that, of course, you need your tacky tape, okay, to put the stencils on in place. Okay, so normally you would want to use tacky tape. So tacky tape it means that it's not too sticky, so that if you put it onto the side of your paper, okay, your paper project, and then you remove it, okay, you will not destroy or it will not rip. Okay, it's gonna stick just enough to hold it in place. Okay, so and most washi tapes actually have that, property. And of course, if you don't want to use that, you can always use a spray to hold your a tacky spray. Okay, so just the light one. Okay, to hold your stencils in place. All right. Okay, let me see. Let me go back to the chat a little bit. Oh, not yet an empty nester. The older two still live at home. All right, that's awesome. Right, so here in the Philippines, Susan, it's not uncommon to see extended families, meaning even the adult children, even the married children, sometimes can still live with the parents, right? So that happens here often as well. How do you, Wims has a question, how do you organize stencils? I find it difficult because they have different sizes. All right, great question, Wims. And I will answer that immediately. Okay, I will show you again. Okay, this one. All right. So first, okay, so this one, actually, if you could see it, I will just remove this. So half of this is embossing folders. All right. So because these are the ones that I pull out from the drawers at the back. Okay. Because these are the ones that I normally use. Okay. And then the others, like seasonal, when it becomes Christmas, I pull them out and put them in this bin like this one. Okay. I just want to show you what it looks like. Okay. So this one is actually from IKEA. It looks like a what do you call this? Uh, a caboodle holder or some sort. So let me see. Oh, there's the actual name. It's called Samla from IKEA. Samla. So it's very, very cheap. It's actually 99 pesos. That's about $1 for you guys in the US. Okay, so probably just a cup of coffee, not Starbucks, right? So there you go. And the thing with this one is, of course, there's a handle. And normally it fits in your rolling carts. So I have several of these. So, and I have put, let's say, whatever I am doing currently, this is where I put them. So that if I have, something like this, where I create a project, I can just simply put in all the, the stencils that I want. Like so, Jose Luis, can you please help mommy? Okay, the stencils actually fell. All right, so Jose Luis is going to help me pick all the stencils that fell. So this is how, okay, I actually store them. Okay, again, this is the way I store them. Okay, for the ones that I'm going to use more or less. You know how it is. You don't really, what I do is I go through my stash and then check more or less which one I think I can use. Okay. And then when I'm actually doing the project and then I go through it again, but let's say if it's a seasonal project, Halloween, Christmas, right? So those things I have to really, get another like this so that only all those things will be there so that it's easier. And if you can see, my stencils though have different brands, okay, comes in plastics like this, okay? So actually, these ones are, okay, so these are the things that fell. Okay, so the ones that cannot fit in a square container like this one, they go to the back, okay? So this is actually, okay, this is what it looks like. I found one that's a little bigger. All right, so this is what it actually looks like. It's a plastic. It's actually used for holding like report cards for school. All right. So what I do is, since most of the stencils are actually square or a little slightly bigger than an A2 size card, so I trim it. Okay, I trim the top off. Okay, so that, okay, so they all look like this. Okay, so majority of the stencils would look like it. Look at this one. It's not that big, but still, so to make everything even Steven, okay, so even the smaller ones will have to come in like this one. And to make sure, of course, most stencils are transparent, so I can maximize the space. I put like a liner, a white card stuck in between, so I can easily see what is there. Okay, so I'm no longer mostly interested in what's the brand, stuff like that, except with Altenew. With Altenew, because I have a lot, they actually go in a separate place, right? So basically this is what I do with them. So no matter what brands, I arrange them also by like this one, flourishes, right? So and then I will have like all cameras, all sentiments, so all things like that. So I will arrange them like that, so when I go through it, it's easy. When I flip through it like that, it's also easy as well. So it fell, so now it's kind of mixed up because I actually so I just want to show you what it looks like, right? So this one, sometimes it's very big, so I just I cut off also the parts of the packaging, but most of them, if it fits into this 6x8, I think is the length of this one, or bigger, I just cut off the tops, okay, and then I put them in stackable, it's not stackable, but plastic containers like this that has a holder, and that is where. And then the longer ones, okay, I do have longer ones, so they stay at the back, okay, like so, okay, and then the ones that are like A4 size go to the side, like so. All right, so that's how I arrange my stencils, and then I'll just put them to the side like so. All right, so I'll put all my Altenew stuff first over there, so that later it's going to be easy for us to create, right? So again, that has worked for me big time, but maybe you can, share what you do, okay? The people in the chat. All right. Love that idea for splatter box, although I don't think the cats inside them here would appreciate getting color. Yes, let's not color our cats. I used tattered angels the other day. High five, Jana, right? It's amazing how, despite what? How many? It's older than Sam. So that's definitely more than 20 years. And it's still very much pigmented. The only thing is that the tips sometimes get clogged, because the last time I used it, I didn't clean it. So you just have to clean the tips, or just change the top of the spray bottle, or change the nozzle. And you have a lot of glimmer mist as well, right? Okay, hi Wims from Jana. I put my stencils in a binder with page protectors. All right, so that's another way, right? So I used to put them in binders, but I find that it's easier for me to pull them out like this, right? But this is how, again, it depends on how you do your workflow, right? So for me, it's like easier to pull them out from here. But after, okay, the season, or after, everything is done, I put them back in where they're original position at the back. So it's always very easy to clean up. Okay, so if you want to actually see what that looks like, I do have several series or several videos about my craft room organization. Yes, but putting them in binders is actually a great idea as well, because I started with that. And then I put this one binder, all flourishes. This one, all sentiments. This one, all geometric. So stuff like that. Whatever resonates with you, so you can easily, if you need it, you can easily grab it. And as well as cleanup is going to be easier. Oh, how many binders do you have now, Jana? I'm sure a lot. Hi, Yvette. Good morning. Do you still go to Aquafit on a Sunday, or is it rest day? All right. Sammy actually just won. It is a 3-inch binder, but isn't even close to being full, considering I make my own stencils. I think that's one awesome thing about being able to create your own stencils, right? So, you don't need to buy. Right? Because you can easily make one. So if you want to check out how some of those are actually done, I know that Jana might have some videos of that one on her channel. Yes, she is J. Marie, designed on all the platforms, my friend. You don't categorize them? Yes. Okay. So here right now, because I pulled them out from their original containers, right? So I don't categorize based on manufacturers anymore. When I still had a few that worked, but now I categorize based on, again, just like the way I categorize my papers. So all flowers go together instead of brands, except for Altenew, because I really have a lot of Altenew. But otherwise, everything goes into like, are they geometrics? Are they sentiments? Are they like flourishes? Stuff like, are they layering? So there. Hi, Reagan. Good morning to you, my friend. You trim the backing paper. Yes, Wims, because as you said, right, some of them are smaller, some are higher or are taller. So what I do is I do have like a basic size, like the 6x6, and then the higher ones, I don't trim off the, and this plastics, Wims, can be bought in Office Warehouse. And it's about, I think used to be just 8 to 9 pesos. Now I think it's 11 pesos. So for the interest of our friends in the other side of the globe, that is about what? 10 cents? Something like that. So it's fairly affordable. And yes, I trim the backing paper, or if they don't have that, I just add a cardstock. Okay. I just clean and organize my stuff. Though I only have a few, I couldn't store them nicely because they have different sizes. So, come up with something like a 6x6 or an 8x8, and everything will fit. Okay, most of the stencils that has come out commercially would definitely fit on that, Wims, and that's basically how I store mine. Right. So, question. Do our lovely viewers in the chat have stenciling tips and tricks of their own? Yes, please do share it. Okay, Yvette says, I have 2 binders for my stencils, but have to start a third. Wink, wink. All right, I have to start the third, and maybe moving forward, we're going to have a fourth, as Advent calendars come in, right? So just during the weekends, our family time. All right, awesome. Same. Here in the Philippines, it's the same. Weekends, especially Sundays, our family time, and the Lord's, of course. All right, Susan said, I don't have many stencils, so I keep mine together with coordinating stamps and dies. So you're seeing here, if you're new to stenciling, that every crafter has a different way of storing, organizing. So I highly suggest that you check out which you think would best resonate with the way you work. Right? So there's no perfect way to organize because it would depend on your needs, your space, right? So binders is a great way to actually start with, right? Especially if you have varying sizes, right? So, or you can even work with like some page protectors. They have separations, right? So if you have a smaller stencil, then you could put some of them there. And then if you have a page protector that's kind of bigger, then you could put your bigger stencils over onto that one. Okay, but Susan says the rest are in one section of a large basket. I need a new system. All right, so there you go, right? So I think, like in my case, I keep on changing. It's like every year, because our workflow changed in a sense that maybe you're now more focused on creating these kinds of cards. So those that, for some reason you won't be using for quite a while, they get move back to the back part of how I store things. Again, it depends on how you are going to work, or the way you work. Okay, I feel that is how I have tweaked my organization system over the years, right? So Susan here, for those who are beginner, it says coordinating stamps and dyes. As I mentioned earlier, okay, so there are products like, for example, this one, okay? So this is the Magnolia and Blooms, okay, from Altenew. Okay, so this one has a stamp set, okay? It also comes with a die set. And it also comes with, okay, hold on. I hope I can find it because the thing is, everything fell down a while ago. Okay, so I'm trying to look for the stencil for the coordinating stencil for this one. I don't know where my son actually placed it, but okay, let's just pretend that I found it. Okay. Oh, there. Okay. So this is the coordinating stamp set. So what Susan is saying is that there are those products that have it all. Okay, so I don't suggest that you separate them from each other. Okay, this is dies. It has to go with the dies. This is a stencil. It goes with the stencil. So when you have like a kit, okay, or a collection like that, I would highly suggest that you follow Susan's, organization strategy where you keep all of them together, okay, and then put them in one container or one, plastic case, like for example this one. All right, so let me see if it will fit. Okay, so get a sleeve like this, or if it won't fit, this one I think is a little bit bigger. So sometimes what I do even is, because I want everything to have like the same height, same style, right? So if the packaging, original packaging, is a little bit bigger, so what I do, okay, this one I have a bigger container for this, but let's say, for example, I really want to be very OC. Okay, so what I would do is, if only I can get this thing out. Okay, so it's stuck. Okay, because there's an adhesive onto this one, right? So I will trim the sides. I will trim the sides a little bit, okay, so that they will all fit into the plastic. So everything, okay, if I work with it, is together. Okay, so that's an awesome tip. Again, courtesy of our dear friend Susan in the chat. Yes, so please, yes, share, your experience with stencils, whether it be organization, application, technique. Okay, although this is a basic topic, okay, for today, but it won't hurt to give our beginners some awesome tips, right? All right, so can you make stencils with Cricut? Yes. Yes, absolutely. And not just that, you can actually create stencils with your dies. Right? Remember, I was part of the Stretch Your Supplies Masterclass series with Lynn, and that is one of the things that I showed how to do. Okay, how to make stencils using your dies, right? So not even a Cricut. Okay, definitely you can use a Cricut. The only thing is you need to get the Mylar. Okay, so the Mylar plastic, MYLAR WIMS, can be bought in like Shopee, right? So Lazada, it's available. Okay, now I tried using the acetates, right? So that we use for shaker materials and stuff like that. As a stencil, if you're gonna use your dies, they don't cut perfectly. And I find that of all the plastics that I tried to create my own stencils, it's really, and using dies, it's the Mylar. It's basically that. But basically, whatever shape, image you want, you can absolutely turn it to stencil. And it's cheap. It's cheap. Like one pack is just, and it's a 12 by 12. I think less than 100 pesos for 5 pieces, something like that. Wims, so it's actually very cheap. So Wims can create her own design or illustration, and I'm sure you can come up with a product something like this Wims in the future, right? So you can come up with stencils. Okay, this is Martine. Okay, must say, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for dropping by, my friend. Okay, Martine. I feel is French. French sounding. I will also trim the backing paper of some of the stamps that are big. Yes, if you want them to look or to have that same look, it's okay, as long as, for me, the most important is that I still know from what collection it was from, if it originally had that, right? So the sides, it's okay if I, trim off, and then some of the things at the bottom, I don't really care about that, but I keep the top part of, the backing, original backing paper, so to speak. Good luck, Wims. Cricket has an actual stencil. Oh, yes, I forgot. Thank you, Susan. See, Susan is awesome when it comes to giving out tips. What would I do without you, my friend? Thank you. Yes, Cricket actually has, okay, a recommended material for that. You can actually choose that as the material you want to cut, okay, and it will definitely cut perfectly with, their actual stencil material as well. But okay, you can actually use Mylar. Cheaper. All right, there you go. Okay, yes, definitely with dice. Absolutely, you can. Okay, those stamping basic is already done. Do you cut? No, I have not yet actually started with stamping. I'll do stamping tomorrow, Wims. I just showcased embossing, heat embossing. Right, so that's why I needed to use the stamps the other day or the other episode. But actually, stamping is for tomorrow. Okay, so do you cut the plastic of the stamps in half? Sometimes I am tempted, especially for those that are too large and wouldn't fit my storage case. Yes, I can do that, and I have done that. Again, so I do have like, so the smaller stamps go in front, and then the taller ones go next, and the tallest ones goes at the back. Okay, but I do have several different ways of how I organize them. So watch for that tomorrow. I will reveal that to you all. All right. So yes, we're not yet done with stamping basics. Not yet. Heat embossing. Although since it was heat embossing, I needed to use a stamp for that. Oh, thank you so much, Artie. I have a funny story for you guys. So I was in France. When was I in France the last time? Oh no, previous to this, the last time I was there, I think 2016. And so I was with my sister, and there was something wrong with the TV in the hotel. And so I asked my sister, um, can you kindly ask, help? So we called room service. And then, of course, I have no very little French. And so does my sister. So, and then when, the housekeeping went out, he was like scratching his head like that. Okay. And then I asked, why? What did he ask? I think he was asking me what we are. I think I said, instead of you're my sister, I think I said you're my girlfriend. Right? So, because French is hard, really, really hard, right? It's very different from the way we actually speak, but I find it a very, very romantic, language. So there you go. So I'm happy that at least I was able to pronounce your name, okay, perfectly, almost perfect, anyways. I happen to be given the cricket material. I just haven't used it yet. Oh, Susan, can you use it, my friend, and then tell us more about it? I actually don't have one that is with a cricket brand, but I did use the generic Mylar, and it actually works perfectly, right? So that's a cheaper alternative. But you know what? If your machine, okay, is still under warranty, I highly suggest, just like what I told you in the earlier parts of our Craft Everyday in August, to always follow manufacturer's suggestion. Otherwise, your warranty may get void. All right. But if it's after warranty already, then go ahead and try to be as creative as you can. Yes. Yes. I look forward to seeing your own stencils with that. Yes. Yes, please do, Susan. Only if you have time anyway, my friends. No pressure. Yes, no pressure. Lost in translation. Actually, my daughter speaks actually not really very good, but passable because she had French as her foreign language for I think 2 semesters. So the basic French and a little bit more advanced in French. So she can understand and she can. There was one time I was so scared because I heard mumbling in the like around 2 in the morning. I said, "What was that?" And it was actually Sammy practicing for her French exam. I was like kind of scared because I couldn't understand what was being said. So it was to me, at that time of the day, it was like, what is that? And then it was actually, and she was studying in the corner of her works, her study area, and the lights were closed. So I was so scared. Yes. So, anyways, all right, there you go. It was really fun. Oh, Jana, I've been learning Norwegian so I can at least make Anne Marie laugh with my attempt. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. I would want to try, hopefully we can get to, before it was easier because Jana would do one of her live streams. So it's my triple treat Monday, so to speak, because it would start with Jay and then hop on to Shanna and then hop on to Jana. But I think with that time slot, it's quite late already for Jana. So the best way to catch Jana is to make sure that you are, subscribed to her YouTube channel and set that notification bell so you get notified whenever she does go live. Sometimes it's just I'm asleep. Give me like a week. Gotta get through the move in first. Oh yes, yes. Okay, so that is yes. I know that school has started for most of the people there in the other parts of the globe. So yes, absolutely, Susan. As I said, no pressure, my friend. This is gonna be like 30 days anyway. French isn't too bad. If you speak Spanish, then it is much easier to learn. Really, Yvette? I find it really, really hard. It's like my tongue is so used to, I don't know. I think I'm just so bad with languages. So Sammy Pai, can you take English as a foreign language? Um, no, I think for us, no, because English is already our second language, so to speak. So when you say foreign language for us, it has to be other than English. And, of course, the vernacular, Filipino or Tagalog. So it has to be, could be French, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, right? So stuff like that, but not English, right? So that's so cool. Yes, I'm a morning person. Lives at night were hard. Yes. So, and I agree with Jana, right? So if, it has for us to be able to sustain our crafting and content creation, it has to resonate as well with us, right? So I'm happy that Jana found her, her spot, for actually going the lives. But don't worry because she does a lot of videos as well. And she's part of many awesome design teams. So if you want to check out her she does Mondays, Moody Mondays. So if you have not yet joined the Not Too Shabby Shop mood board challenge, it's a monthly thing that you can join, my friends. And if you want to understand and get more inspiration, watch Jana do it on her Moody Mondays, right? And I actually also every now and then would post inspiration for the said challenge, right? So you actually can win something there. It's $15, right? That you can use to shop on Not Too Shabby Shops, shop. So go to the blog, okay? When you go to nottoshabbyshop.com, go to the blog and it's going to be the August Mood Board Challenge, okay? So all the rules are actually there. Okay, for someone who speaks French, English is hard to learn. And I think it's the other way around as well, right? Yes, so that's why English is not considered like a foreign language for us. Yes. Is it official? I don't think so, sweetheart. Maybe just it's unofficial, but it's our considered second language, right? Yes, I was just curious. Yes, of course, we don't expect you to know. So thank you, Jana, for asking. That's actually a very great question. Because if you would think, because we're Filipinos, English could be a second language, correct? Right. Yes. But since English is kind of our second language, so there's even Taglish. We combine Tagalog and English. You can rarely find anyone who speaks like pure Tagalog or pure Filipino. Even if you watch my earlier content on YouTube, you would find me mixing Filipino and English. So we call it like Taglish, right? So okay, Jana said, I took Japanese in college and Spanish in high school and college. So Jana can do, wow, three languages. Awesome. Okay, yes. Sammy said, I prefer speaking Taglish though. So it's a mix of English and Filipino. Have you taken a foreign language before? I think most actually, Sam, your daughter has, because I know in the schools outside of the Philippines, just like here, we are, I think foreign language, taking up a foreign language is something that is required as well. All right. Yes, yes, please do, Wims. It's Moody Mondays with Jana. Okay, I am interested how mood board is done. Okay, you can check out also my previous video for that one, Wims, for the month of July for summer. Yes. And Janice said, when we lived in Alaska, there was a large Filipino population. I would say Taglish was what they spoke a lot. Yes. That is more often than not. If you ever go here to the Philippines, that is also how we speak. We rarely speak like straight Filipino, all right? But most of the kids right now have really a hard time speaking Filipino. Most of the kids speak English better than they speak our our official or our national language. Yes, here you go. Here's the link. Thank you, Sammy, for the link. All right. So for those who are interested to check it out, please do so. We would love to see your takes, for the mood board challenge. It's something quite, it's been there for a while, and so we would love for you to actually join. Again, there's a big possibility for you to actually win. Okay, and this is every month, right? So you can do a maximum of 3 submissions per month if you actually include some not too shabby products in your project. Otherwise, 1 submission, okay, every month, okay? English has so many rules and exceptions. There you go. I'm okay with the rules. It's the exceptions, right? So in Spanish, the rule is the rule. Okay, the same with Filipino. Okay, there are actually a lot of exemptions as well. Yes. Thank you so much, Wims, for subscribing to Jana. You will absolutely love Jana. And she also has an awesome sense of humor as well. And she actually has been crafting. And just like you, Wims, Jana also took up fine arts. So you ladies actually have something in common, and I'm sure you would find each other's company in the chat and in the lives really exciting, right? So Jana meet Wims. Wims is actually married than my friends. I just don't call her Maridan. I like calling her Wims because I really like her channel name, right? So whimsical thoughts. So I think I'm the only one who calls her Wims. Everybody calls her Maridan. All right, that's her real name. So Yvette said Spanglish for us, but my mama would scold us if we did that. She would tell us to pick a language. Oh, it's the same here, right? So especially those who are, into language studies and stuff, you either speak Filipino, straight Filipino, or just English, but don't mix it up. But we know, but it's easier, right? So, and I feel deep down in my heart that I really have no intention of disrespecting any of the languages. It's just that it comes easier. So I think it's just making sure that you use it appropriately. So maybe if it's a private function, then let's try to just either speak Filipino in our case. So, or for you guys, maybe speak whatever vernacular language you have, and then just one at a time, not mix. Like if you're in Singapore, the way they call it, their English is called Singlish, right? So here we call it Taglish, right? So Jana said in Alaska, we could at least understand every few words to be able to communicate with Filipino friends. Oh, Jana, you can absolutely make it here in the Philippines if you're already, familiar with, the Filipino community. The important thing is that we finally understand each other. Absolutely, Martine. There you go. Is it Monday night US time? Not sure if it's nighttime, Wims. Yes. Not sure if it's, I think it's morning time, so it's nighttime for us. Yes. Used to be that's what time Jana does her, but now it's different. Okay, so oh, there you go. So it's 11:30 a.m. Central. So that's 12:30 in the morning for us swims. Uh yes. Okay, there you go. Yes, actually, Wim. So, while you're trying to, just rest for a while before you go back to sleep. Yes, so looking forward to that. I'm sure that you would love, Jana's content as well, Wims, because they're both learned artists. All right, going back. Whew, that was a fun, recap. Sorry for those who are actually watching on replay. Okay, I hope that you love that banter. But if you didn't like, just go forward. All right, so other things you can use. Okay, so you can use a modeling paste. This is just a local brand that's we use because it's cheaper, right? So since I actually don't I'm not an artist, more of just a crafter. So I don't really buy the expensive modeling paste, but I do have some Ranger. The thing is, I realized that with things like this, and then if you're not gonna use it often, they will harden in time. No matter what kind of hack or storage condition you put them into, even if you put present foil in the top of it, it will still dry up. So if normally I would just buy the smaller ones, the smallest of the size which is available, that's the one I would buy. Again, depends on how often you would want to use it. Okay, so these are the daubers that we mentioned. Okay, earlier on. So you could actually use this guys. These are very cheap. Sometimes you can buy it like in a dollar store or in the makeup section, right? And this one's actually Susan. Okay, not Susan T, but Susan Coquin, one of our dear crafters here in the Philippines, actually saw this on one Amazon Prime, year. So you can actually, if you're gonna travel, put them together. Okay, they're stackable, and then if otherwise, I just put them in trays like this, and so this is gonna be for the yellow family. So I arrange them based on the color of the rainbow, Roy G. Weave, right? Or if you want, you can use brushes. Okay, so again, if you want to use inks, okay, for your stencils, and of course, palette knives. Okay, they could be metal, plastic, whatever you have, that's absolutely fine. So basically, those are the things that you can start out. Okay, not even a little bit more advanced actually. So you can just start with inks. All right. So we're night owls. Exactly, Wims, right? Okay, I need to use my stencil pastes more. Yes, Reagan, because if you don't, eventually you'd be surprised they have hardened and that you somehow spoiled, you cannot use them anymore. I like the added textures that stencil pastes create. Yes. Oh, another thing. Okay, when you do use your stencils, make sure, like in my case, I have a pail of water beside me. Okay, because especially if you use like mixed media paste, modeling paste, they normally can stick to your stencils and ruin it, right? So because it's not gonna be able, you're not gonna be able to remove it anymore. So I before I put it in the pail, I wipe it with baby wipes. Okay, so something like this one or a piece of cloth, and then I put it in the pail of water. And then after the show, because I don't have like a sink here beside my table, after the show, I clean it up. All right, so make sure that you do, if you use mixed media paste, right? If it's just ink, just simply wipe off the stencil. Okay, T is such a good one to watch for stencil paste and making amazing nest of stencils. Yes, Elizabeth is another one, right? So hello, hello. Hi, Marian. Okay, Marian, it's actually 11:12. It's 1 a.m. for her. She's based in Australia, my dear friend. Say hi to our dear friend, Marian. Marian has a course, or is it a course, Marian? A workshop about, Marian, feel free to share. Okay, and Sammy will look for the link, right? And I know that it's on a discount right now. So if you're into planner, right? So you want to make use of your planner and stuff better. So Marian is an awesome coach for that. All right. Of course, she's also an awesome crafter, paper crafter. Okay. But she's just focused on her channel on productivity using planners. Okay. So now that we have that, let's go back to our PowerPoint. Okay. So we're done with the stenciling okay. Okay, stencil application. So let's go through this first before we do the next part. Okay. So for stenciling application techniques, you can use ink blending. Okay. So this is not something I'm very good at. You can check out Wims, T, Dawn, Not Afraid of Color, and the Crafty Visage. They're so good at this. Elizabeth as well, right? Okay, you can also use paints. Okay, again, you can use brushes or foam in applying them. Okay, so texture paste and gels, spray techniques. Okay, I think I'm going to do this. All right, so tips and tricks for great results. Yes, always clean your stencil immediately to not just prevent staining but ruining it, because some paste really, once it's okay with the staining, because the stain won't really affect the result of your future use of your stencil. But if the paste really hardens onto it, sometimes it's impossible for it to clean, so you might as well get another one. And also use a light hand to avoid bleeding under the stencil. I show you that in a little bit. And for multi-layered stencils, align registration marks, if any, because you don't want, you want to line them up perfectly so that it looks very realistic. One thing about having layering stamps, stencils, and dies is that they simulate or emulate what it actually looks like, some kind of a 3D effect, right? Okay. All right. And then, of course, we actually showed you earlier on how I label and organize them. So a suggestion would be something like all florals together, geometric backgrounds together, sentiments together. Okay. Or you may choose to do it by brands. All right. So especially for those who are part of design teams. So sometimes they need to do that because they need, so that they won't forget and then they won't mix up different brands for their DT assignments. But for people like us, okay, again, you check out, your workflow, and also it would depend on how many you have, right? So if you don't really have that big of a collection where it somehow it gets lost in the what do you call this, the storage, then you can always just put them all together. But one thing I can suggest is you remove them from their original packaging and come up with, look for a container, whether it's something that you just created, paper, so that they're all aligned. It looks neater and nicer that way and easier to look for. All right. So easy beginner projects. All right. So here we are now. So stenciled card background. Okay. So use a blending brush and one stencil for an ombre effect. All right. Or you can, create a mixed media tag, add texture paste over stencil on a craft tag. So let's do these two projects first. All right. of doing ombre. Okay, hold on, my friends. I am trying to get. Okay, hold on, my friends. Because my inks for my ombre inks are actually here at the bottom. Okay, sorry about that. I had to stoop down to get this inks. Okay, so the nice thing about these inks, okay, I talked about them a while back, okay, last episode, is that they already have like three colors of, so you could achieve this kind of ombre look. All right, so this is from Hero Arts, okay, or you can just use, different layers, I mean colors, somehow near to each other to create that, blending thing as well. All right, so let's go look for, okay, so check out this one first. Okay, and let's check maybe, okay, so by the way, if you do have like a, stamp positioner, okay, you can also use that. So if you would look at this, it looks very dirty, right? But that's actually my mats being stained. Okay, so if you want to know the history or the story behind this, okay, so the very first time I got my stamp wheel, I was very blessed to actually pre-order this, okay, before it got released. This is the first release, okay, the version one, not the bigger one. So I pre-ordered it from Nenet, my little attic studio. She actually is an Altenew educator, and she has a store here also in the Philippines. So she did a pre-order for this, and I did. So when it arrived, I actually so excited, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna go live, and I'm gonna show them how this thing works, what it looks like, what's included, stuff like that." And then I used a Catherine puller, okay, to do like a mirror image. How do you create mirror image using this, sticky mat? And then realize that actually the Catherine puller black stains on, because this one actually is like the stamp material, okay, the same um material that they use to actually create, stamps. And just like regular, stamps, okay, polymer stamps, they stain. So that's why it's like that. Okay, so what I did was just to simply clean it. Okay, and after you've cleaned it, you can see that the stickiness is back. So instead of using, a tacky tape or a pixie spray to hold it together, I can always use something like this. All right, so I'll just put my paper. Okay, let me see if because but this one is actually, so let's go get a smaller paper. Okay, so that, or let's cut this paper a little bit smaller, so I don't need to what do you call this, I don't need to add, okay, just for purpose of demonstration, I don't need to to put a sticky tape because it can actually stick to the sides already. Okay, so normally, okay, so let's try. I'm lazy tonight, right? So that's how you do your stencil. So if you don't have the sticky mat, okay, you use, okay, a tacky tape. Okay, let's just pretend. Okay, sticky mat, stuck, tacky tape on sticky mat. Okay, so try not to put that on top of that one because it will mess up the image. All right. Okay, so let us do that. And then go get, okay, so what kind of, okay, do I want to use? Okay, so let's say, so we're creating, let's say you want to create a background. Okay, so after you have, so a medium first, in this case paper, and then your stencil on top, Okay, make sure that because the thing is you don't want it to move, because if it moves, then the image will now be something like, it's going to look like there's ghosting, right? So, okay, so what we're going to do is to, okay, grab some of the ink, okay, and then, okay, we will just go through, okay, the stencils, okay, like so. Okay. Okay, so normally you don't want it to lift. Okay, and especially if, let's say, you're using inks, you're not using stamps. So if you are using inks, what can happen is, or liquid, medium, it can go underneath, right? So, and then what happens is, it's gonna make your image not crisp. Okay, and sometimes, you don't want everything to look really like even. Can't, depending on what you want, it to look like. So it's just that I want that one to be darker and slowly, getting lighter. Okay, and you will see how amazing, okay, your project or the design. So this is a nice way to create backgrounds. Okay, again, the stencils are very cheap compared to stamps and dies. And you can also create amazing things with them, right? So again, you just lift, okay, the stencil, making sure that okay, so there you go. Okay, so that is now, and then you can remove, if you use tacky tape, you can remove that, put that to the side. So like so. So you have already a background that you can use. Okay, now if you want, okay, so you can even use that same stencil, okay, and create another look. So look at that stencil. It's it's dirty, right? So if you want to use another color, right? So no worries, okay, because you can easily clean it. Okay, so just grab, this one. This is basically a baby wipe. Okay, I'm just cleaning it like so. So with this kind of media, like I just used ink, right? So that's this is actually dye ink. Okay, so from Hero Arts. So I don't need to dip it in a pail. Okay, just simply dry it. Okay, remove the ink, dry it, and then sometimes it may stain depending on the ink. Okay, so after you're done using it and then you're done with your work, you can actually go put it under water, and then you just use your what do you call, dishwashing liquid soap to clean it even further. All right, so remember, this is how we did it before. Okay, you can actually do it the other way. Okay, turn it from this way. Okay, this is it again. Is it flipping or turning? Okay, so that's always a question during Mystery Craft Alone. Mystery Craft Along. So the question of flip, okay, or okay, turn. Which is it? Okay. All right. So you see, I just flipped. Okay, I hope that that's correct. We'll ask my favorite cheatmate in the chat. Okay, and that is Yvette. Because whenever we have questions in MCA, Yvette is our go-to, person. All right, so you may use the same, or you can grab, a different color. Let's say this one. Okay, so I'll use this one. Oops. Okay. All right, and then I will, this time around, use this color. Okay, for when I flip the, what do you call that? Okay, so when I flip my card, no, my stencil rather. Okay. All right, so there you go. See, okay. So how did I basically actually added the ink? Okay, so normally if it's a brush, okay, I do like a circular thing and I just brush it on top like so. Okay, you don't need to like, you know, dig what do you call that? Push it in so hard. Okay, just lightly go over it. Okay, like so. Okay, again, the pressure would depend on the kind of look you want. So if you want it to have like the same um what do you call that? The same intensity, okay, of colors, right? So then you can add more pressure, more inks. Again, it's up to you depending on the kind of look that you want. Okay. So there you go. You see that it over here is a little bit lighter. Okay. So let's check. Okay. So let's flip. Okay. So removing this part. So I like that the stencils for Altitude it's actually bigger than an A2 size. So if you're going to create an A2 size, you can always trim the sides. All right. So there you go. Now you have this amazing background that has that like kind of 3D effect, right? You see how awesome that is, right? So instead of just looking this way, if you just, flip it, is it flip it, twist it? I don't know exactly. All right, let's ask Yvette. Okay, what was the perfect term for that one? But look at how awesome that look is. And this is going to be already a perfect background for you. Okay, so let me just go back to the chat. What is happening to Dawn? Okay, there you go. So I was talking about, a class that Marian is having. It's called the Burnout SOS Help. Okay, 7-day reset plan for some of us women who are a little bit overwhelmed. Can you relate? Hands up to those who can relate. Right? So most of the time as women we're so good at multitasking, but there is also a limit to how many things we can do at a time, right? So this is an amazing thing. Check it out, Marian. Don't take my word for it, but check it out. Watch her videos, and so you can learn more about what this is all about. Marian is an amazing coach and crafter as well. Yes. Check out T's channel here as well. And Sam kindly put in the link as well. Tita Marian's class anak. And we have of course, this is Dawn. All right. Hi, Dawn of the Crafty Visage. Yes. So if you want to know more about inks and all the different techniques, especially for art journaling, Dawn and T are your go-to, crafters. Hi, Marian. Yes, from Wims. Dawn. Yes. Everybody's saying hi to everybody. I remember that live stream when you mistakenly put the stamp on the... Exactly. Right? So it's actually, I didn't put it in the wrong... Oh no, for this technique, the one that what do you call this, Wims? The one that stained it, that was really the intent because I was doing a mirror image thing. But I made a mistake on a different technique. I made a mistake on putting it in the wrong side of course, this was like, I was so excited. I actually just know more or less something that it's in my mind, but I never really tried it. Like, I think I did it only once. Where is the cover of my stamp wheel? Anyway, so I placed it in the wrong place of my stamp wheel. And so I ended up with a very funny very funny image. But in fairness, eventually I actually got it. But it took me like several minutes to figure it out. All right, so I'm gonna do that tomorrow, Wims. Yes, so that's a great question. Since Wims asked that, I will do that again tomorrow. Okay. Today is a craft room day for me. The air quality is poor outside for due to the Canada fires. Even the birds are quiet today. Okay, stay in, stay safe, Dawn. Yes, for us, right? So yes, we have to be careful. I'm organizing ephemera today. Ooh, preparing for this Friday's live stream, Dawn. Yes, thank you, Reagan. Yes, guys, Reagan actually creates, I think, every other day content on her channel, right? So please do check out her channel, my friend. She also is on YouTube and creates content and videos as well. All right. Again, thanks, Reagan. I love stencils. Yeah. So if you want more inspiration, check out our dear friend Dawn over here. Can you actually put water on that stencil with leftover ink and smoosh it on another paper? Yes, absolutely. Because it's the same ink, right? Because this is a dye ink. So definitely you can. Okay, so whatever, because again, it's the same ink. So it's water based, so it's water reactive. So definitely you can. So if you don't want to, you feel like, oh no, the ink, it's a waste if it just stays on the tissue. Actually, there's a crafter here in the Philippines, si Doc Ree. We call her Doc Ree, or Anne Ray. She's called Anne Ray. So what she does is, after using, her wet tissue for, cleaning, whether her stamps or her stencils, she turns them into, like, instead of, dry paper flowers, she, I don't know, she scrunches it like that, and eventually comes out with like a, flower, and then she adds it onto her layout. Amazing, right? So, and then Wims has this question that we actually will show, that it is possible. If only I can find my spritzer. Okay, there. I'm very good. I still have it. Okay, the one we used the other day, right? So, so what she's saying. Okay, so again, beginners. Okay, check out Wim's suggestion. Okay, hold on. Okay, so you can see it. Okay. Put water on the stencil with leftover ink and smoosh it onto another paper. So when you smoosh it, okay, so remember this is water reactive. Okay. Okay, let's see, because I've put it already. Okay, long. And since this is dye, I don't think I should have done it immediately, Wims, but let's see if it's still gonna work. I feel it's not gonna work because I talked and talked too much. Okay. So, but normally, like, remember, if you do it like this, right? Okay, and then you spritz it with water. Okay, so definitely you can grab your paper and smoosh. All right, so something like that, and you can create awesome, amazing, backgrounds for you. And then in between, okay, you just grab your heat tool, okay, and heat it. Okay, and once it's heated, then you can go back and, smoosh again. All right, so but first, let's check out this one. Okay, so let's just, okay, get all of this onto our paper. Okay. Okay, so if you have plastic on hand, that would actually, because it adds also the texture of the plastic to this one. Okay, so let's check out this one. Okay, so did I spritz the right side? Yes. Okay, so get a new cleaner paper. Okay, so I said yes, but since it dried up a little bit already, so even if I added water, okay, parang Wims hindi masyado. It didn't really work. See, very few na. Okay, so maybe I should have added more water. Okay. Let's try that again. Let's check out Wim's suggestion. Where is my spritzer? Okay, as they say, it's only paper. Okay, so let's clean out our stencils first. Okay. Okay, let's do that again. Anyways. Okay. Oops. I actually am having a bit of a tummy ache. Okay. Oh, I forgot. I should, again, I want to chop it off a little bit because I don't want. So, what you do with that, it can be, it can become a background later for, your cards or your mixed media, your art journal project. It can be used for anything and everything. It can be turned into a tag. So many possibilities, my dear friends. Okay, so let's check that out. Okay. So Wim said, okay, so let's just pretend. Okay, so let's make another one. All right. This stamp has a certain smell to it. I don't know if it's because it's been with me for over maybe almost 2 decades. That's why it smells kind of different. And maybe that's also the reason why. Okay. Okay, really intentionally not making, the inking even. It adds character to your project as well. So let's lift that up. Okay, and have that, okay, as a background. Okay, and then Wim said, all right, so spritz. Okay, put water on the stencil, where again is my spritzer. Okay, with left, and smush it on another paper. I actually added a lot of water. This one's almost gone. Okay, so let's go grab. Okay, let's make that dry and let's mush it. Okay. So it can, but it's very, very light Wims. Okay, not really. It's like going to be like something like a ghosting of some sort. All right, so I'm gonna show you the result in a little bit. Okay, now that since I did this immediately after, so it is darker than what I actually did the other one earlier. So this one, there's a little bit of already stain. So I will put it in my bucket so it's easier to clean for later. Okay, so let's dry this up. Okay. All right. Yes, we have the air purifier on. I'm organizing. Okay, I have to create my craft roulette card. Oh yes, because craft roulette is every Sunday 7 a.m. for us, Reagan. Yes. So normally the only way I'm able to get any of my craft roulette project in is if I work with Dawn. I know with Dalise during her Saturday mornings. But then normally I have classes Saturday mornings, so I can't even like kind of join. All right. So this is okay. Um the ink smooshed. Okay, result. Okay, so this is very, very light. This is the blue one. You can barely see it, but it's there. But this is the other one. Okay. Okay, let me see. Where did I think of flip as flipping like a pancake. Oh, so maybe what I did was a flip. Okay, flip is front to back side. Turn is rotate either. So what did I do? Flip is front to back. Rotate either. Oh, so what I did was a flip. All right, so it's a flip. All right. Great. Love it. I hope you are feeling better. Actually, right now I'm experiencing spasms on my tummy. Again, maybe because of the way, oh, I remember now. I ate hot dog and then I ate spaghetti and I ate them too fast. And then eventually I ate dinner. So I think this is me not chewing my food well. So I'm having spasms. Okay, bye Reagan from Sammy. Okay, I think it should be right after you're done because it might exactly Wim. So, but that is a great tip, my friends. Wims has done that so many times over. Okay, and normally she also uses, non-expensive things like things you can find, like the plastic from the packaging. She uses that sometimes. So, yes, I thought you looked like you weren't feeling well. Oh, really? Oh, okay. You could feel me. You could see my whenever there's a spasm. Oh, it's a light color. Yes, she calls it stencil smooshing technique. So it's negative image that she gets. All right. So of course, as I said, right. So maybe if you use pigment inks, that would be better because you know how dye inks are fast drying inks, right? And this is a dye ink, right? So if you use, pigment inks, absolutely. Okay, so let's try to do that tomorrow, Wims. Let's try it again. Ah, okay, okay. So juicier. And of course, I think it's better if you use pigment, right? So let's do that. Okay, I'll just try to calm my tummy. Yes, gotta run. Thank you so much for dropping by, Yvette. And hello, Linda. Thank you, Linda, for saying hi to everyone. Yes, Wim said, have a great breakfast, Yvette. Hello, Linda. Yes. Okay. So am I updated? Yes. Take care of it. Yes. All right. So check that out, guys. All right. So Wim said, right? So, okay. Before we leave this and move on to the next, okay. So, okay. So let's use another stencil because I already placed that in the, what do you call that? In the bucket. Okay. So if you have another, okay. So let's just grab, okay, some other stencils. Okay, so maybe this one. This is a cool one because it's like, yeah, foliage and stuff. All right. So one thing you can do, I think this is what Wim's okay, was saying is that where did we put the one that we created earlier on? Okay. So this is without the flipping. Still awesome, right? This is with the flipping. It looks like, like keyboards stuff. It's very pretty, right? Okay, so now let's do this last one before we actually move on to the next one. Okay, let me get my. All right. Oh, I almost. Did you see me? Did you see me do that? I was going to cut my stencil. Hello, 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 hello. What the fudge, Lala, are you doing? All right. So anyway, so there goes our stencil. All right. So, okay. And maybe let's use not use a dye ink. Let's use a pigment ink. Okay, so let's use a Versacolor. All right. So let's use, oh my tummy, Lord. Oh. Whew, 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 whew. Breathe in, breathe out. You know how it is like, oh, I've never used this. Look. It's like sealed. Gosh, how long has this been in my stash? And I've never used it? Gosh, I hope it still works, friends. I don't even remember how long this has been in my stash. Okay, so this is a Versacolor. So this is a pigment ink. All right, so okay, so if you're gonna use it directly like so, okay, so normally I would twist because if it's just like that, it just gets onto the top, right? So you also want to penetrate the bottom part, right? So with this kind of technique, I feel that you won't really get like very crisp image of the stencil, and I think that is what it's really meant for. Okay, but what we want to show here is the technique that Wims has suggested. Okay, and that is like, of course you use that to add ink, okay, to show the image. All right, and then in fairness, it's still juicy. All right, and then you remove it. Okay, so there goes your image. Okay, so now what we do is we get that. Okay, and then you spritz some water onto it. Okay, again, this is not dye ink, this is pigment ink. And then, okay, so you grab, okay, one, okay, and then you can either, do it like this, okay, and then there you go, okay, and then you can even still, since it's still very wet, I feel that we can still do it again. Okay, get another one. Okay. So not so basic anymore, my dear friends. But since it's actually something that you can use. All right. So and then if you want, you can grab a piece of tissue, okay, to prevent, or a kitchen towel. Okay, I just can't put it on top of that because I want to do something with that. Okay. So to remove the excess water. Okay, like so. Okay, so okay, and then okay. There you go. Okay. So remember how I do like the mono printing? So it has that kind of an effect. All right. And then whatever you have left on your table, just grab another. You see, this is like what I do with that. Okay. And then you can do, some bits and grab it and, just smoosh onto your paper. Right. So look at that. Okay, and then normally I just let this dry, and that's gonna go into my pile as something that I can either use as a background, or I will die cut, okay, use as a background for my die cuts, right? So you did one, okay, this is your main, like look for that one, and then you smooshed in all the excess ink from the stencils, okay, into like three different, and then this is the ink smooshing that we got from the table, right? So awesome, right? So and then this one you can just wipe off. Okay, so especially when you have very intricate designs on your stencils, and sometimes just wiping it with baby wipes doesn't fully clean it. So what I do, okay, is if I really don't want the, what do you call this, the ink stains, since this is actually really water soluble, so I'll just put it in the pail of water beside me, and I will clean it up after. Okay, so let me go back to the chat a bit before you move forward. Thank you, Wims. I think this, in the Philippines, we call this impacho. When you eat so many, so, when you eat too fast and then so many or lots, and then that's what you do. That's what you get. That's good for art journal and ATCs. There you go. Okay, take note, take a photo. Okay, this is a great way, okay, for you to use those backgrounds that we just did. All right, stretching the ink left, yes. And that's a great idea and tip, Wims. The inks are actually not that cheap. And so, there's that's a great way to come up with to really make use of stretch your supplies. So all right, so normally I would cut that, okay, into and turn it into a background, right? So it could be a 4.25, okay, by 5.5, or actually it could be maybe a 5.25 because I will probably mat it by 4, right? So there, now I have an awesome background for a future card, right? So that is, if I wasn't talking so much, this would have, okay, there you go, 4. Right, so you can now have, like, from the same stencils, already 2 backgrounds that are not exactly the same. Right, so you see what flipping the stencil actually produced this one. If it's just one layer, then it would actually look this one. So that's one way of, one stencil can produce several backgrounds or images for you already, and you don't need to use the whole image even, right? If you just want to use a little bit of it on one side of your card base, that is absolutely fine. All right, and you can do the same thing with your tags, right? So another thing, okay, so other than inks, what else can you use? Okay, your stencil for. All right, so other than inks, you can actually use your stencils, okay, for creating, okay, amazing texture. Okay, so I like this one. Okay, so I hope sometimes, I just don't know if I put them back in the right place. I'm not even sure if this is actually an eco park anymore, right? So with this, you can also use your mixed media pastes. All right. So for this one, normally if I use paste and mixed media, I don't use my stamp platform. So for that, I would prefer to use, okay, my tacky tape. Some put like a back, like at the back. Okay, so normally I would just do that. So I would secure the paper first, and then I would secure the stencil. Okay, like so, using just tacky tape. All right, and choose like the media or medium that you want. Let's say, for example, modeling paste. Okay, so this one I think is still, oh, there you go. I thought it was not yet open, right? So grab, I don't know why this paste looks to be so runny. I'm afraid that is too runny. It might go inside. So normally I don't want it to be that runny. All right, so this is better. Okay, so this is an embossing paste. Okay, so from the Dreamweaver. So just like when you're doing a cake, right? So you decide on where you want to put it. Okay. Okay, so you don't need to like put it in, in all the places. You may choose to just put it on one side. Okay, on that side. Okay. Unless you want to go for a look where, everything is, embossed, but normally we don't want. So let's say that is enough. Okay, again, always clean. Okay, immediately your tools if you're working with, pastes. Okay, it's so easy anyway when they're still wet. Okay. Okay, and then what you do is you lift this up, remove the tape. Okay, and then slowly lift it. Okay, like so. And then what do you do with this one? Okay, don't forget to wipe it with baby wipes for easy cleaning. Make sure that you do this fast because if it hardens on that stencil, it can ruin your stencil. And then of course, as I said, okay, I will clean it really, better after I do my live streams, and all I do is I put this in a bucket of water beside me like so. Okay, so that okay, whatever is left, okay, won't harden onto okay the stencil. And if you can see, I will just remove this one and remove that one. All right, and this is what you have. All right, do you see the texture that is there already? Okay, so normally I would just okay dry that. All right, so that's what you can do with stencil. You can use ink, you can use pastes, okay, and then we will try to use as well sprays. Okay, we're gonna use that in a little bit, right? So with this, you can even add, say, after this, you can use sprays or spritz color onto it. Okay, so I have here some samples that I did. I don't know anymore when, so long ago, right? So when I have my stencils out and my, different pastes out as well, all right. So these are all texture paste lang in white. So you can, if you like texture, this could be an awesome background already for, art journals or your covers for your mini albums or even, of course, your cards. Look at that, right? So then you can just simply add watercolor or whatever, coloring media you want to put in them. All right. So this one's not yet fully dry, right? So let's just let it dry for a while. But let's work on this ones that I did, several, I don't know anymore when, so long ago, right? So probably whims could remember, but yeah, I think it was very, several moons ago, so to speak. All right. So let's do another thing, okay, that you can do with stencil, and that is, spritz, color onto them. Okay, so let's probably use maybe say this one. Okay, that kind of look like like a broken glass kind of look, right? So we can put it something like that. Okay, and then I'll go grab my tattered angels. This is a tattered angel. This is brick red. Okay. Oh, where's my favorite mango yellow? Is it here anywhere? Can't find it. Okay, this one's pink. This is brown. Let's do this. This has been with me for a very long time, so let's see if it still works. Okay, so you can have that kind of look. Okay, and then a bit of red. All right, and then probably a bit of pink. Okay, onto the edges like so. Okay, so if you want it to run, you can add more water, but I don't want, so I just actually want to dry it faster, so I do something like this. So you can have something like that. So you have both, the inking and the texture, right? And then now it can be turned into a card panel as well. So you can ink, you can, use your mixed media products and come up with, very different backgrounds. So for this one, where is the stencil that I used? Okay, I think I used. I can't find it. Uh, but this is one of my favorite, one of my favorite stencils. And then if you want, you can even, okay, get this one. Okay, and so you can get that, white look, and you can see better crisp images of the outline. You can sand it a little bit like so, and look at that effect. Kind of a stained glass look, and the grittiness of the texture paste is gone as well. So look at how beautiful that is. Right? So, really, stencils are amazing, and they don't cost an arm and a leg, right? So, unlike some of the stamps and dies that we have, and the other thing is you can even make your own, right? So, if you do have dies already, you have existing dies, or you have an electric die cutting machine like a Cricut or a Cameo, creating your own stencils to create amazing backgrounds is one thing that you can definitely, work with. Okay. So there you go. Now, if you want, you can turn this into a, what do you call this? You can turn this into a tag, or you can even just turn it into, an awesome background. Okay. So there you go. So this one we inked. This one we used texture paste and then bit a little bit of spritzing. And now we can have three backgrounds for a future card, right? So you can just, put them in a bin. Okay, and then when you're ready to go and come up with projects, you can just, oh, okay, easy project. You now have your background, you put your focal point, your sentiment, you're good to go, right? So that's how easy it is to create amazing backgrounds with stencils. All right. So, okay, was it this one? Yes. So again, you can also make gift wrappers or envelope folders. Okay, so you can wrap bags or envelopes. You can stencil bookmark and so many other things. All right. So I will actually try, or not try, but will make all of the PowerPoints that I use for my everyday in August available, okay, to all channel members, right? So I will actually put this on Discord that are available for channel members. All right. So you have like a quick, like a, what do you, in a glance, what do you call this? At a glance reminder of how to do things. Okay, so stencils in other craft, you can also use this for Bible journaling and add patterns without the bulk, right? So of course, when you do your faith journaling or Bible journaling, just like what we did with Jay yesterday, right? So if we always add a little bit of bulk or texture, eventually your Bible is gonna be like that, and you have to rebind, right? So sometimes it's also nice to just do flat, but flat doesn't have to be, looking flat. Okay, with stencils, layering stencils, you can have that kind of 2D, 3D effect, right? And yes, you can use it for wall decors, right? Bags, etc. All right. All right. So we actually did the demo already. Sentiment stamps to finish it off. All right. So let's finish off this three things we did. Okay, so again, final thoughts before we create the project. Stenciling is an affordable and beginner friendly creativity to any project. I think this is even easier to use and many more applications than actually stamping, right? So yes, again, if you do have questions, just put them in the chat and let's see if I cannot answer it. Hopefully, some of our, friends, crafty friends in the chat can help us out. All right, so hold on. Let me get some card bases for this. All right. Okay, so we can have that one for this. Okay, and we can have, all right, so Oh, I think the orange one would be great for this one. It's gonna pop out. Awesome. I sorry guys. I thought I had my camera okay on. All right. So let's look for another one. Okay. So let's create some cards. Okay. And of course some finished product cards using stencils. You can absolutely go to town, okay, with stenciling. Again, it's a cheaper alternative than buying stamps or dies, but creates that awesome feel and look still at the same time. All right, so that's one's gonna be for a red card. Okay, and this one's going to be, so if you see, I'm not even measuring anything. I'm just eyeballing things up at this point. All right, and so if you are not very OC, that is something that you can do as well. Okay. I don't think the recipient of your card will actually measure. Okay, is this straight? Right? So, oh, this card is not yet cut to 4.25 by 5.5. All right, so let's cut that. Okay. Okay, so this is supposed to be 4.25. Okay, and this one too has to be 4.25. So I'm making A2 size cards. So an A2 size card for those who are beginners is actually a 4.25 by 5.5, right? So there you go. Okay, adding layers or mats onto your projects make it even look, stunning, so to speak. Okay, very easy cards to create in a jiffy. I just did a lot of flowering and talking onto the sides, so we didn't finish that fast. Hold on, let me show you some of a card that has like a stenciled background as well, right? So, and this is another one that I did. All right, so again, using stencils to create amazing backgrounds is one of the cheapest, easiest, yet very stunning way to create amazing backgrounds. Okay, sometimes it depends on your stencils. It can even be your part of your, focal point. Just put sentiments and you're, good to go. Okay. Okay. I think what we're going to be doing, what I want to do with this one is combine this with some of the card projects, or outputs we're going to create tomorrow and combine them. Okay, so I will not put the sentiments or the final or finalize these cards so that we can incorporate tomorrow's topic and techniques onto this card. Okay. So my base for this one is a watercolor card. So it has a different texture. The spasms. I have to breathe. You know how it is when it's like you're giving birth? Because the pain. All right, so there you go. So we will finish off these cards tomorrow as we focus tomorrow on stamping. right? So we will try to really focus on just the basics with a bit of extra, so to speak, borrowing that from my dear friend Anna of Fate 52. Okay, her channel is like very basic with a little bit of extra. So basically, that's what we want to do in this series. Okay, focus on the basics, but if we can add a little bit of extra, why not? Okay, okay, there you go. Hello, Linda. Yes, Linda is Lishay Butey, our dear friend. I hope you're feeling better today, my friend. Okay, take it slow. Okay, and that we pray, continuous prayer for your recovery, my friend. Right? It's a beautiful stencil. I can play with stencils for one day and reserve them for future projects, right? So, because sometimes there will always be an event where, oh no, it's somebody's birthday at the office or maybe a relative or something, and you need to come up with a card fast to go, to come with a gift. And if you have all of these backgrounds on hand already, so it's like a general, any for any and all occasions, then you just grab them, put the sentiment, put a focal point that goes with it, and it's good to go, right? So it makes creating cards on the go really, really fast. No, you are no longer a beginner, Wims. I appreciate, always sharing your tips. Okay. Yes, you can send it. That's cool. Sand it. That's a cool technique. Yes. Sometimes when we add layers, right? So somehow what do you call this, it's no longer as visible, the texture. So what I do is, I by sanding it, you actually create the edges a little bit more visible, right? So that's why, because I felt that there's too much going on because of the texture already, and then the colors. So by sanding it a little bit, it showcased some of the texture again. Yes, I need stamping help. Again, it's very basic, my friends. Remember, basics, basics. But yes, let's learn, learn, learn together. Again, thank you so much. I know I started pretty late today, but thank you. I hope you understand. Sunday, of course, is family day. And at the same time, I do lead a Bible study every Sundays. All right. So we actually finished the usual time, but since I was not able to prepare earlier on because I had this special recording with somebody, and you'll get to know that in a few weeks as hopefully that gets shown and announced. So again, thank you so much. And tomorrow, yes, finally, we're doing the part one. Okay, I'm not sure if it's part one, but I feel it's gonna be part one of the basics of stamping. Because stamping just has so many layers. Okay, awesome layers to it. Okay, but definitely we'll try to not overwhelm you. So we'll try to start with the basics tomorrow and see where it leads us. All right, again, thank you so much for joining me. And please hold on. Okay, as I try to grab, okay, the stuff that I need. All right, so please don't forget to like. Yes, if you're watching now or on replay, please do like this live stream. And yes, thank you for always telling me, Wims, that I'm on mute. And by giving me a call on my cell phone, that truly helped. I knew it when I saw her name. I'm muted. I knew I was muted. So thank you, Wims, for reminding me. And please don't forget to subscribe. Yes. So that, and of course, so that you get notified when I go live every time, please hit that notification bell as well. And yes, please share, 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 because sharing is caring. All right. So those are the things that we did tonight. I hope that you had as much fun as I had. Okay. For those who are in the chat, they're no longer beginners, but thank you so much for sharing your awesome knowledge and inspiration and suggestions as well to our beginner crafters. So please, crafters, if you are a beginner crafter, and you're hopping on replay, please do check out the replay chat, as well as you can find some awesome inspiration as well there. And most of the people you see in the chat actually have their own, social media. What do you call this? They're on different social media like Instagram, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. So for more inspirations as well. Yes, thank you so much, guys. I'm so sorry it's so late for Wims. Wims, go to sleep now, my friend. Yes, take care, friends. Thank you. And yes, Don. Actually, I think I really need to drink some tea after this, and I think I can't go to bed just yet. Oh, before I forget, my friends. Okay, hold on. Yes, please, please, my friends. You see that? This. Where? Ching, 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 ching. That one. All right. So I am actually gonna be part of the August, okay, Kendra's Card Challenge live stream hop. It's gonna be 7 a.m. my time. Yes, I'm the last in the hop, and we're featuring mystery card kits. And joining us as a special guest is Alicia of a crafty, of the sheetload of cards. Okay, Alicia Crafty Al. All right, so see you again in a few hours. Right, so 7 hours from now, I'll see you again. Bye. Bye. Bye.